Hey, what's up, Creepers and Geekers? Christy, Atari Creep. How's everyone doing today? Please ignore. I am making my breakfast. I have a couple of eggs scrambled up with some pepperoni and American cheese. That's what we're having for breakfast this morning. On a bagel, on a nicely toasted bagel. So I want to talk about modern games because I just came to a realization. I think I did. I'm pretty sure I did. Personal realization. I'm gonna wash my hands. As to my lack of fanship towards modern games, you know, all this time, I'm just like, you know, they have no charm. You know, like the older games, they all seem the same. You know, I would argue the point that there was a time when you could walk into somebody's house, and as long as it wasn't an exclusive game to that console, you didn't even have to look at the console to know what they were playing. If it was a game that was ported onto multiple platforms. And after a while, and by design, and just the nature of how this type of thing should evolve, video games basically just became, in the eyes of a guy like me, a generic platform. Not saying that the games aren't quality, they're not fun, because I have also discovered the attachment that people have to modern games might even go a little stronger than our nostalgic feelings for these old blocky games, you know? And hopefully, if I remember, we'll get to it. And that's why we're here in the kitchen, because I don't want to lose any of these points. I'm over here preparing my breakfast going, these are great points. Please understand, when I say a generic platform, I don't mean that the games are generic. Again, I know you guys love it, and there's a nostalgia thing to it that goes deeper than anything I can think of. But all this time, I'm thinking also the control of the game. I mean, as the games evolved, and they got more involved, I should say, deeper into the experience, the immersiveness of what you're doing, of course, the controllers became a little bit... Well, I gotta flip this back, but... Oh, I wish you could have seen that. That was a perfect flip. Ooh, yeah, baby. But controllers just started getting, and I know a lot of people sit there and go, well, they're not that. Shut the fuck up, bro. There's like too many buttons on a controller for a guy like me. There's too much going on. And I often, and to this day I still agree, cite the double thumbstick jam as why I really can't get into modern games. Fast forward to this morning. A buddy of mine messaged me with a trailer to a Fallout movie based off of the popular video game. A lot of really cool stuff in Fallout, by the way. I don't know much about it. I mean, I'm sure I could probably benefit more from the movie than you guys who get into these things because, well, you know what's going on, and if they fuck it up, you're going to know. If I just think it's a cool story, regardless if that shouldn't be there or this is something that had to be there, I'll benefit from it. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about my realization. I should just turn this into a fucking omelet. This thing's huge. Alright, it's an omelet. I'm just going to break up the cheese, fold it, and call it good. But then I started thinking, when did I really stop really enjoying games? Alright, I got to make a quick cup of coffee too. But that got me thinking about the different type of experiences video games are compared to when I was playing them back when I was a wee little guy, and the same games that I still play 40 plus years later. I started thinking about the difference in experiences, and that's what the realization of why I think I'm just not really into gaming as much as I probably could be had I continued on. The experience I had and the experience you have, meaning modern and retro gamers, are completely different. There are stories in games when I was a kid, especially as, you know, like the Nintendos of the world started coming to be. Games got more elaborate and they had a story background, but it was all based off of imagination and everything. Moving with that idea, I'm saying to myself, I bet you the reason why a lot of these cats are really into these games, even though they're pretty much rinse and repeat, especially the first-person shooter, is because you guys spend a lot more time with these games than... Sure, I've been playing Yaz Revenge probably a lot longer, but in our times, I don't know. I mean, what is the typical game? An 8 to 20 hour experience? Let me know down in the comment. That's where I'm looking at it, but I don't think that's accurate. But you guys spend so much time with these games, you get personal with it, you know? You're involved in the story. You're part of it, whether you're trying to solve it or whether you're trying to resolve an issue to get you out of, you know, whatever the case may be, whatever the crux is that got you into that immersive experience, even as a third person watching as something plays out. You're still immersed in it, and you're controlling some aspect of it. And you spend a lot of quality time with this thing, regardless of what your spouse or your parents may say. This is quality time you're spending with something, as long as it's not being intrusive on your lives, you know? So now you come to me. Let me stir this bad Larry up. I'll show you what we're dealing with. And I'll finish my point, because I'm pretty sure that's what we're trying to get to, right? But then I'm thinking about me in video games. And going back to the fact that I have one button and one stick. Most of my games are a single screen, most of them. If they had more than 4 screens, 5 screens, it was mind-blowing. Our games were simple. We were given the story, a stick, and the idea of things on a screen, and we interacted with it that way, completing the story in our minds. I know where you think I'm going with this. I'm not saying it's less. I'm not saying it's less or more, either way. But that's how I experience video games. And I understand that some people have been able to. I wasn't able to, and that's what we're trying to get at. That's what I'm trying to get at here with this point. You're starting to get out of a certain comfort zone that a gamer like me has, in the simplicity of your goal is literally just to stay the fuck alive. Shoot whatever comes at you. Don't get shot. That's literally it. That's literally it. And I think once games became more immersive, it took me out of the story, because I didn't want to be that in the story. I had movies and TV for stuff like that. And I understand that the evolution of gaming was meant to go this way. We've been talking about it. It's like being there. It's like the real thing, you know? Simulators. I mean, flight simulators, tank simulators were really big. Space shuttle from Activision. So I get that whole thing. I really do get that. And you are interacting in an Atari game, in an early Nintendo game, or even in the 16-bit, you know? But it wasn't so immersive. It didn't become your world, you know? You were still part of my game, but the imagination, everything ran through your head and you played that out. Other than that, I really don't understand how to explain it. But the point I'm trying to get to is, once the stories became grand and you actually literally became part of the story's push forward, and it wasn't just a simple thing. Kill these things, dodge their fire. That's a lot of Atari games. Get there faster. Okay? Avoid things as you're trying to get from A to B. That's Atari. That's Atari. And I think once games became a lot more than that, that's where I lost interest, because I'm used to short bursts of gameplay, whereas these require a large amount of time on your part. It's a commitment. It's a commitment. It's a financial commitment, and it's a commitment of your time. You only have so much time on this planet. You need to figure out what you want to do with it, you know, and make it quality time. And if spending that 8 to 20 plus hours going through the entire game trying to figure out every little nook and cranny and every little this and getting every... That's awesome. That's awesome. And it's something I wish I could be excited to try to do myself. But I've noticed, and I'm sure you've noticed, first of all, I'm inconsistent with what I do. I could play games every day this week and then never touch another game for 3 years and then just pick right back up. That's another thing. It's an attention span thing, you know. I have started many a games, and then I just don't have the desire to go back, because the replayability in my world is starting from scratch and then building up to that high score, basically. Whereas in this game, even though you're progressing further in the story, you're literally starting right where you left off. And it just, to me, it just seems kind of like, oh, okay. I know I am in the minority. I know that for a fact. And again, please keep in mind that this is about my experience. I am not trying to push or relate anything to you. I'm just saying, I had a revelation today, and I think it's more than just a double thumbstick thing. I think it's when games became bigger than the simplicity, the charm, once the charm disappeared, and the imagination portion, more importantly. Once that part started going by the wayside, then I think that's when games lost me. And I think it's important to still have the imagination going forward. And I'm pretty sure there is some form of it going on now. I, as a guy who still plays with blocks on the screen, can't see it. Guys, thank you always so much if you got all the way through this. Let me know your thoughts. Did I come up with some great... Pay no mind to that. We had a roof leak. The guy's coming to fix it today, so my living room's completely disassembled. Not that my life isn't always disassembled anyway, but yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. Wherever in the world you are, I hope you're doing well. Leave your feedback up, down. It's all positive to me. Until next time, take care. Creep it real. And bye-bye. All right, you want to see what we were cooking? It's a happy plate. I didn't do that on purpose. That's fucking funny.